Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 29th of January, now it's 15 past 9 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment. But before I start, let me remind you schedule of this week. Schedule for programs. So from Monday to Friday I'll have first update like this one on both channels on YouTube and Rumble. Then in the afternoon local time I will have a short summary of the news that I will talk about in the second update, headlines, that's the name of program. After that second update on my Patreon page. And late evening, about 9 o'clock, I will have a 9 o'clock Moscow time. I will have a live stream with Telegram reports program on my Rumble channel. So hopefully this updated schedule, updated programming will help to further develop this project. And if you are interested in to subscribe on Patreon and support my work this way, or to subscribe on Rumble, you can see links under this video in description box or in the pinned comment. That's been said, let's talk about news now. And well, first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. According to reports from Russian media, Russian military channels or Russian Defense Ministry, there was no crucial changes on any of the sectors of the front line. It's a daily routine really on the front. Operational pause mainly holding all along the line of contact. In Kherson direction main hotspot is of course Krinky area. Some may be surprised that Ukrainian forces still are holding to some positions in this settlement and on islands right next to it, islands on the Dnieper River. When it comes to Zaporozhye sector, but initiative of course in Russian hands, and the Russian side has operational control over this area completely. When it comes to Zaporozhye sector, main hotspot is of course Orekhov bridgehead, to be more precise Rabotina area and these fields between Rabotina and Verbovo. And military channels here, Russian military channels are predicting that at any time Ukrainian side may make decision to withdraw its forces from these fields and from Rabotina itself, because these areas are undefendable and Russian side is constantly increasing pressure on Ukrainian units. So maybe even this week Rabotina will become under full Russian control. Let's see. When it comes to South Donetsk sector of the front line, also main hotspots are of course Vremovsky salient, so-called Vremovsky salient, and area between this Vremovsky salient and Ugledar, and also, of course, fields between Ugledar and Novomikhailivka and Novomikhailivka settlement itself. We did not have any reports that some crucial changes were made on line of contact, although Russian side is increasing pressure and improving current positions steadily, step by step. When it comes to Donetsk sector of the front line, usually most active sector on the front, we have a few main hotspots in this area. First, of course, on the southern side, it's Georgievka settlement in Kurachovo direction, right next to Marinka on the western side. Also, Avdiivka is a hotspot, and Russian forces improving their positions on daily basis, although after Russian side conducted this quite successful operation by using underground tunnels to get behind lines of Ukrainian defense in Tsarskaya Khota area, and once this entire territory became under full Russian control, we did not see more or less big scale of operations. I guess regrouping is taking place, and this week probably we will see some more activities, more decisive actions in this area. And also, of course, flanks of Bakhmut are hotspots. On the southern flank from Kurdyumovka to Klishevka on the northern flank, all these settlements. Grigorievka, Kalinovka, Bogdanovka, which is disputed between the sides, and also Ivanovska, which is Krasnaya. This settlement has two names. According to latest reports, Russian forces are on the outskirts of Ivanovska or Krasnaya, which is quite possible because I was reporting quite a number of times in previous updates that Russian forces getting close to Ivanovska. When it comes to northern sectors of the front line, in Krasny Liman sector, main hotspots are, of course, Terskoye salient, Terskoye settlement itself, also Yampolovka village, and Serebyansky forestry, also Belogorovka. And Russian forces are increasing pressure on Ukrainian units from southern side. Also, this Ukrainian map, for whatever, pro-Ukrainian map, by the way, for whatever reason, still not updating, and are not marking Vysyola settlement as controlled by Russian forces. But well, what you're gonna expect from the pro-Ukrainian map? I remind you, dear friends, that I use this map just because of colors. It's just easier to see stuff on this map because of this coloring. Other maps are much more accurate, but due to coloring, maybe I have issues with that only. But that's the only reason I use this map, man. It's just lighter colors and makes it easier to see. And so we see all under Russian control, of course, and Russian forces are increasing pressure towards Razdolovka and Vimka. And when it comes to Kupiansk sector of the front line, lately, of course, main hotspot is Krakhmalna area. Krakhmalna became under full Russian control last week, in the beginning of last week, I believe, and then yesterday I did report that Tabayevka, this settlement, also is under Russian control. And in this case, this map updated, and you can see that Tabayevka is under Russian control even by this pro-Ukrainian map. And also, of course, hotspot on Kupiansk direction is this village of Sinkovka, and according to latest reports on some military channels, Russian forces began ground operation in direction of Sinkovka once again, and already entered northern outskirts of this village. I did not see any photo or video confirmation of that, but maybe that's the case, although earlier number of military experts were suggesting here in Russia that maybe it will be better if Russian forces will just bypass Sinkovka and then encircle and force Ukrainian units in this area to lay down arms and surrender. Because of the geography of the area, that may be a reasonable step, but if Russian forces are beginning ground operations to establish control over the Sinkovka, then most likely local officers who are in charge in this direction maybe had different ideas. Whatever the case, this is it when it comes to short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. The initiative is in Russian hands all along the line of contact, and in some areas, as a result of this significant increase in the pressure, we clearly can see that Ukrainian defense lines beginning to crack. But it's still too early to say that Ukrainian defense lines are collapsing. It will happen at some point in the future, but more time needed. According to Russian Defense Ministry's yesterday's report on progress of special military operation during the previous 24 hours, Ukrainian armed forces lost all along the front line some 650, if I'm not mistaken, military personnel. Big number, especially if you take in account that Russian armed forces are not conducting large-scale offensive operations, but still, on daily basis, Ukrainian armed forces losing from 1 to 2 battalions a day regularly. And well, let's talk about some additional news now. And TASS news agencies report here that Russian units on the Sovdanetsk sector of the front line established control over the 6 Ukrainian strongholds. And well, according to be more precise, storming units of 394th let me translate this, because polk is company, or what is the polk in English? Regiment. Assault units of the 394th Regiment of Russian Army established control, as I said, over the 6 Ukrainian strongholds on South Donetsk direction. And well, 20 soldiers, by the way, did operate in such a successful way, in an organized way, that they basically forced about 200 Ukrainian military personnel to retreat and run away, which is well, quite interesting news. Maybe these Ukrainian soldiers get confused. They did not know how many Russian soldiers were attacking their positions. That's a possibility. Maybe artillery fire from Russian side before Russian ground forces began assault was too heavy, and that's why they ran away. Or maybe this is a pure propaganda piece. I don't know, man, because 24 soldiers forced 200 enemy soldiers to run away. Well, anything is possible. Anything is possible, by the way. I did saw some videos that several soldiers are attacking positions and forcing basically 10-15 almost entire platoon to surrender, and therefore nothing can be nothing surprising. But anyway, my job is to report what Russian media reports about, and then of course you can take with pinch of salt any of the news that you see anywhere, by the way. RIA Novosti's report here that Russian paratroopers, with the help of drones, destroyed 3 Ukrainian amphibious boats on the right bank of the Dnieper River, with the amphibious forces on the board of those boats. Yet again, Kiev regime continues to send more and more people to certain death towards left bank of the Dnieper River, and this type of stuff is happening on daily basis. When majority of Ukrainian units are neutralized while they were crossing or attempting to cross the Dnieper River. And this information only confirms that. And I did share on my Telegram so many videos with these destroyed boats, and it's a total horror story what's going on the Dnieper, by the way. It's videos from that area is so graphic, I cannot even share it on my Telegram, by the way. It's filled with the bodies of killed Ukrainian soldiers, banks of these rivers, and channels in between islands. It's horror, man. It's Kiev regime have to pay heavy price for all the crimes that they committed against Russia and against Ukrainians themselves. And it's obvious that they are sacrificing thousands, tens of thousands of Ukrainians for media opportunities, for political decisions, and one day they will pay a price for it. TASS news agencies report here that former president of Czech Republic did comment on Ukrainian conflict, and well, Václav Klaus, by the way, and he said that while talking about Ukraine, historical context also have to be taken in account, and in that case, it will become obvious that real confrontation over Ukraine began on 4th of April of 2008, when during the summit, NATO summit in Bucharest, NATO invited Georgia and Ukraine to join alliance, anti-Russian military alliance. And well, in historical context, of course, former Czech president has point, absolutely. And well, I will say that Western ruling class began this operation to demonize Russia, and then use this provoke some conflicts and then use it as justification to militarize NATO member states, especially in Europe. This process definitely began in 2008 when Washington used then President of Georgia Saakashvili and his criminal associates to provoke military conflict with Russia. In August of 2008. Then that was the first stage. Then was 2014 in Ukraine, when Washington basically orchestrated, with the participation of EU member state capitals, orchestrated armed coup in Ukraine. That was the second stage. And then of course, eventually Washington did provoke, or Western ruling class, by the way, did provoke full-scale military confrontation. Maybe not the full scale, because Russia is not really using all its military might in Ukraine, not even half, like 20% maybe. But still Washington or Western ruling class was able to provoke this military confrontation in Ukraine between Russia and proxies of NATO and the leadership of Zelensky and his criminal associates. So yes, and that was a third stage in this multi-step operation that Western ruling class is conducting, and I believe there are some additional steps also that we have no idea yet, but it will become obvious in the upcoming years. So yes, I have to agree with the former Czech president. From historical standpoint, yes, we can clearly see that Western ruling class began this new level of escalation with Russia in 2008, when Ukraine and Georgia were invited to join NATO. Artists report here that Ukraine wants retired British warships. Interesting. I did report about it yesterday during the live stream on YouTube. Kiev would be happy to receive 2 British Navy warships that London is reportedly about to decommission. Ukrainian Vice Admiral Alexei Neij-Papa has told Sky News earlier this month. The British Telegraph claimed that the HMS Westminster and HMS Argyll would be retired later this year, aiming struggles to recruit enough sailors to operate the vessels. Well, interesting news for few reasons. First of all, fantasy of so-called military leadership of Ukraine has no boundaries. This idiot Vice Admiral of Ukraine, Alexei Neij-Papa, probably have no idea what is Montreal Convention. He has no idea that Turkey will not allow any warships to enter Black Sea. But okay, I mean, from Ukrainian leadership, I mean, you're not gonna expect much, isn't it? They are, I mean, drug addicts, mass murderers, criminals, I mean, fools. That's Ukrainian elite, by the way. Because Western ruling class uses exactly that type of creatures, brainless creatures, as their puppets. Usually that's what happens, and Ukraine is no exception. So, these crazy statements from Ukraine's Vice Admiral, no surprising at all. But what is interesting in this news, that UK has issues with sailors, with manpower, serious issues, and so much so that they are now, according to Telegraph, by the way, considering to retire warships, to decommission warships that could serve another, I don't know, 5-10 years maybe. But they're gonna be decommissioned because lack of sailors. In UK, by the way. And this is such irony, isn't it? UK used to have a strongest fleet at one point in the world, and now they cannot even maintain these few warships that they still have. Unbelievable, man. And London is acting, and same time, by the way, UK's leadership is acting like they still are empire, and like they are main power, main force in this world, when they are simply not. And it would be much better for UK citizens if London will realize that modern UK is just somewhat irrelevant state somewhere there, and west of continental Europe, and once they will realize this, and once they will act accordingly, well, I'm quite sure UK will benefit from it, and citizens of UK will benefit from it, because these crazy ambitions that London still has definitely not making any good for citizens of UK. That's my personal opinion. I don't know, man. Citizens of UK may disagree with me, but I think London should stay away from global politics, man. Really, as much as possible. Only reason why anybody can listen to British leadership is these Vanguard submarines that may not even be operational. Vanguard submarines that have Trident missiles with nuclear warheads on it. That's the only reason why anybody would consider to listen to UK's leadership, because formally it's a nuclear power with I don't know, man, 200-300 nuclear warheads. Anyway, let's continue. Artis, and by the way, unfortunately, UK is involved almost in every conflict worldwide. UK secret services, UK's military, they are directly or indirectly involved almost in all hotspots on this planet. They are destructive force just about everywhere, like US forces, by the way. And Washington and London currently definitely are troublemakers on the world stage. Main troublemakers. If they will chill and mind their own business, I'm 100% sure world will be in much better place. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti's report here that press spokesman of Russian president was asked about Russophobia in the West, and he gave a direct, honest answer that Russophobia in the West most likely will continue for decades to come, which is unfortunately true. Western propaganda, these so-called media outlets, major media outlets of the Western ruling class are so powerful that, and they poison a majority of Western society so much so that I guess Europeans or Americans will hate us, Canadians most likely, will hate us forever now. I'm talking about majority, I'm not talking about informed part of societies that know that this is all propaganda BS. You know, all this anti-Russian hysteria. And always, there will always be people, of course, in the West that try their best to minimize effects, impact of this crazy propaganda of the Western ruling class and the level of Russophobia or xenophobia in the West. But majority, I mean, you tell me, guys, I mean, majority of our community are from the Western states, from US, UK, Australia. You tell me, I mean, is Peskov wrong or he is correct? Because I think he is correct, and majority of societies in Germany, in UK, in US, in Australia, or just about everywhere in collective West will most likely hate us forever because of the propaganda of the Western ruling class. Even if they never been here in Russia, never met any Russians, if they have no idea about anything in connection to Russia, they will still hate us. Because that's what they were told from media, that everything bad is do it to Russia, do it to Russians, and I mean everything. It's if it's rain too much, it's Russian fault. If it's I mean some water isn't not coming from tap, it's Russian fault, of course. And if electricity is too expensive, it's Russian fault. If inflation, it's Russian fault. If it's snowing, Russian fault. If you know, if it's day, it's Russian fault. If it's night, Russian. This is, I mean, at some point, this craziness, of course, will have impact on people, and they will begin blaming Russia for everything. Absolutely, and they already do probably. Anyway, let's continue. Artist report here that, and by the way, things would change if Western ruling class will change its behavior, but it's not happening, isn't it? They will continue demonizing they will continue demonizing Russia, because by scaring local people, local communities, they can manipulate with them much easier. So it is what it is. Artists report here that EU state would be right to seize Ukrainian region, according to local MP. Let's get through this news. Hungary should seize Ukraine's westmost Transcarpathia region in case of country ceases to exist as a result of its conflict with Russia. Right-wing lawmaker Lazio Toroskai has suggested. The leader of political party Our Homeland Movement was referring to territory that was once a part of Austro-Hungarian Empire and fell under Soviet control after World War II. Well, I did speak about Transcarpathia quite a number of times, of course, previously. This is Transcarpathia region, approximately this area, by the way, here. This area, and after First World War, this territory, Transcarpathia, was given to Czechoslovakia, and then this territory became part of Soviet Union from Czechoslovakia. But well, I don't think Slovaks now will have any. I mean, some may do. Some may say that, you know what, these territories belong to us, but most likely there will be no issues between Hungary and Slovakia, and this Transcarpathia region will be controlled eventually by Hungary, because it's historical land where Hungary's land, where ethnic Hungarians are living right now, hundreds of thousands of them, and well, this is, I guess, first time that I see news from Hungary about claims on Transcarpathia, and once Ukraine's disintegration will, full-scale disintegration will begin, as I mentioned many times before, of course Poland will claim all the territories in Western Ukraine that used to be part of Poland before Second World War. Hungary will claim its territories that used to be part of Hungary before First World War, and Romania will claim territories that used to be part of Romania before Second World War. Those territories are still in Ukraine. And Moldova, by the way, Moldova itself was used to be part of Romania, and I believe many people in Romania, especially in elites, and most likely in some people in Moldova also, are, you know, pushing narrative that Moldova should reintegrate into Romania. Although demographics are changed significantly in that region now, and I'm not quite sure that if a referendum will be conducted, majority of citizens of Moldova will vote for joining Romania. But, I mean, you know, historically speaking, Moldova used to be also part of Romania. Next news is about strikes on US bases that taking place on daily basis now. And according to latest report, as a result of a drone strike on one of the US bases in Jordan, although Jordanians are claiming that strike was on Syrian territory, whatever the case, 3 US soldiers were killed and 34 wounded. From these 34, 8 militaries. Conditions are, I guess, so severe that they will be transferred, they will be evacuated into US for further medical treatment. And the Pentagon, of course, promised retaliation, and most likely some strikes will occur, missile strikes, bombing campaign will occur in upcoming days in Syria, on Syrian soil, or maybe in Iraq, maybe both. That's what usually Pentagon does. And well, because of this strike, of course, these warmongers in Washington began once again calling for war with Iran. And well, most active among those crazies are, of course, this senator and mentally ill, clown Lindsey Graham, and he called for direct strikes on Iran. I mean, really crazy, man, really crazy. This is not the first time when this clown is making such statements. I don't know from which state this bitch is, but I mean, residents of that state should be shamed, man. I mean, you could not elect or send to Senate anybody better than this creature. I mean, seriously. I mean, this brainless creature is your representative or representative of your state? Really? He is from South Carolina, man. Shame on you, South Carolina. Unbelievable, man. How anybody can support this brainless I don't know, man, garbage. Anyway, U.S. Senate and Congress full of these creatures, man, that cannot think straight. And Iran did respond on this situation and made statements that Iran is not involved in this operation against U.S. servicemen in Jordan, and I believe that's the case. Iran may support these militias that were fighting against ISIS, and will continue to support. But it does not mean that Iran is in charge of those militias, and therefore I don't think Iran was directly involved in this strike. I don't think Iran is seeking direct confrontation with US. It's not in Iran's interests, obviously. So therefore, I have no reason to not believe this statement that Iran's militaries had nothing to do with this stuff. But well, after all, I mean, if anybody to be blamed for constant attacks on US bases in the Middle East is Biden's administration. Let's be clear about it. I mean, it's Biden's administration that endangers US citizens all around the world because of the crazy policies of the Washington. US used to be a country, at least for some part of this world, country that was associated with I don't know, success, associated with something positive. But now if you conduct a survey worldwide and ask which country is most dangerous country for humanity, for world and world peace, I'm 100% sure US will be number one and UK will be second. You know? Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that there was an article in New York Times according to which Israel and Hamas ceasefire deal is close. Sides are conducting negotiations, and maybe maybe, if the agreement will be reached, Hamas will release about 100 hostages, and Israel will stop hostilities for 2 months. Just about a week ago, I did report that Israel sent a message with similar proposal through Egypt and Qatar to Hamas, but Hamas disagree at that point. Maybe there was some additional demands from Israel, and now it seems like sides are finding some common ground to during negotiations, and well, any break in hostilities will be huge deal for civilians in Palestine. So as soon as sides will agree on truce, better for people. Kommersant newspaper is reporting that Iran's militaries, IRGC forces, established control over the tanker in the Persian Gulf, and according to Iran officials, this tanker was carrying 2 million liters of contraband fuel, counterfeit fuel, or illegal fuel, whatever that means, and 14 sailors from that tanker are now in custody, in Iranians' custody, and this tanker was on the flag of one of the Australia, if I'm not mistaken, or one of the states from Oceania region, but I believe it was Australia. In this information, there is no precise information about country that ship belongs to. Also, Kommersant newspapers report that according to Financial Times, EU is threatening Hungary now to basically sabotage economy of Hungary if Budapest will continue to block this military aid package for 50 billion euro military aid package for Ukraine. And Hungary did respond. And we have a statement here from Minister on EU Minister of Hungary, János Boka, who said that Brussels cannot blackmail Hungary. Brussels cannot force Hungary to do anything that is not in interests of Hungary. I mean, this is getting too crazy, man. This confrontation between Brussels and Budapest, and well, at some point, things may really escalate, because Hungary run by legit people, Hungary run by elected people of Hungary, elected citizens of Hungary. Who the hell is these clowns? Who are those clowns in Brussels, man? Who elected them? Nobody. And at some point, I mean, people gonna get really upset with Brussels, and most likely that will be beginning of the end of EU. Because, I mean, who are those people, man, that are threatening sovereign country, that their economy will be destroyed if they will not obey orders from Brussels? I mean, this is really too much, man. This is really too much, though. Anyway, RIA Novosti's report that 3 African nations are leaving ECOWAS, Economical Union Organization, and these 3 countries are Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. All 3 countries have close ties with Russia. They have Russian backing. Russian instructors are working in these countries and providing military assistance, military training to tackle terrorist groups that are operating in Sahel region. And well, because they have backing of Russia, you know, they are standing strong. And well, now demonstrating their strength by leaving this organization that was threatening them, by the way, on regular basis. We all remember recent times when there was military coup in Niger, that was basically French occupying force out of Niger. ECOWAS was threatening with invasion this country. So, well, good for these countries, man. Good for them. Why should they be part of an organization that is threatening them? The same goes for Hungary, by the way. Why you are staying, guys, in EU? Why? To listen these Brussels clowns from Brussels and be constantly under pressure from them? Why, mate? Why? And why any country stays in EU, man? What sense it makes, man? I don't know. For hundreds and for thousands of years, ancestors of Hungarians, Poles, Germans, I don't know, you know, Slovaks, French, they were fighting for their own country, for their own culture, identity, and now these so-called elites in these countries, with exceptions, by the way, because Hungary is definitely defending itself, but take a look at the other countries in EU, man. They are refusing to continue this tradition of maintaining their own culture, their own sovereignty, and giving up all the rights to Brussels. How crazy is that, man? It's like, I mean, modern EU is like a bad parody on Soviet Union. Soviet Union at least was not pretending that it is that it is just a union. It was, I mean, it was a centralized, strongly centralized country, you know, and republics in Soviet Union, I mean, don't really have a much say with their local governments. And Moscow was, you know, Communist Party was quite clear about it. They did not pretend that they are, you know, like most democrats in the world. No, they didn't care about that. But Brussels, by the way, they are playing this game that this is, I mean, democracy, you know, and you, France, give up your rights, give it to me, I mean, because it's democracy. And you, Germany, also give me all the rights, and everyone, you give me decision-making rights and you obey orders, and everything gonna be okay. This is democracy, no? Okay, of course. I'm telling you, man, this is failed parody on Soviet Union. Soviet Union was at least force to be reckoned with. And what is EU, man? Some joke, isn't it? I mean, to be real, man, I mean, it's a joke. Destined to total disaster. That's what EU is. To become irrelevant, absolutely irrelevant province of Eurasia in like next 20, 30 years. That's all. And, well, Interfax is reporting that car accident happened in Seoul, by the way, and this police post on entrance of Russian embassy in Seoul was destroyed by car. Car just did some, you know, smash basically to this post. Policeman was heavily injured during this accident, or maybe it was not accident at all, and it was intentional attack on Russian embassy. Whatever the case, unfortunately, South Korean policemen get seriously injured. And artists report here that Trump planning massive tax on Chinese imports, and this is big deal, by the way. I did spoke about it yesterday also during the live stream. And according to some sources, former US President Donald Trump has told advisors that he wants to impose some 60% tariff on all imports from China if he wins presidential elections. And this is big, by the way, because 60% tariffs for all goods from China in a situation when US is heavily dependent on Chinese imports, on imports from China, then that's gonna hike inflation significantly, of course. And that this step, if Biden will, not Biden, but if Trump will make such a step, this will definitely create some shortages on the market in the short term. It's gonna be high inflation, some shortages, but in the long run, this type of high taxes on Chinese imports will, of course, create more incentive for local companies in US to, begin manufacturing of all goods that imported from China, because they will be in a better position to compete price-wise. So in long run, this may help US business, US economy, this type of move. But in short terms, it may be some significant pressure. It will generate some significant pressure, I guess, on inflation and supply chain. But anyway, let's see what will happen. Trump began this tariff war with China, and well, he already proved that. I mean, when he says something, he means that. Especially with China, man. Trump has some issues with China for decades. It's nothing new, man. You can find on internet his interviews like 20 years ago, and he still at the time was talking about China and how China is overtaking US economy, and how US is losing with China, and this economical struggle. And well, let's see what will happen. But 60% tariffs on all Chinese imports, that's huge, of course. That's huge. And well, I will end this update now, if I may, and hopefully you will find this video interesting. And if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you find interesting, just about anything. More likes and comments may help to deal with extremely aggressive YouTube's algorithm, for example, and may help me to reach wider audience. And by the way, if you are watching this video on Rumble, please also leave some commentary and click that like button. It will help to reach wider audience on Rumble. And well, if you can, please share videos to my channel, links to my videos or my channel to your friends, for very same reason. That will definitely help to reach wider audience. And if you think this project with several channels, several programs is interesting, useful, has some potential, and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, buy me a coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.